The circle shown below cuts x-axis at -2, 0 and 6, 0. It also cuts y-axis at 0, -2 and 0, 6. The diagram is there. Determine the part 1 coordinates of the center of the circle. Then the radius of the circle, that is part 2 in sad form. And then part B, the equation of the circle in the form x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by is equals to c, where a, b, and c are constants. Let's go to the first part. Determine the coordinates of the center of the circle. So study the diagram. Look at what you are given. You are given various points, that is on the x-axis. This is -2 and 6. And then on the y-axis, we have these points 6 and -2. So how do you get the coordinates of the center of the circle? This is how you get it. Remember, there's a property involving the circles and the chords, that if you draw a perpendicular bisector from the center of the circle, if you draw perpendicular bisector from the center of the circle, assuming that this is the center of the circle, then you draw a line that is a perpendicular bisector. It will bisect this chord into 2 equal parts, and this chord is here, beginning from this point where we have 6 all the way where we have -2. So this is the chord. So the perpendicular from the center, drawn from the center of the circle, and the center of the circle is here, bisects the chord. So this point will therefore be the midpoint. This will be the midpoint of this particular chord. Again, if you draw another perpendicular line, vertical one in this case, passing through 0, or vertical one, through the center, it will also bisect this chord beginning from -2 all the way to 6. It will bisect this chord, and this will be the midpoint. This point will be the midpoint of this line, or this chord that is here. So how will that help us to obtain the coordinates of the center? This is how it will help. Remember that if this is the center of the circle, this is the center of the circle, and this is the midpoint of this chord, if we get the x-coordinate of the midpoint of this chord will give us the x-coordinate of the center of the circle. I repeat, the x-coordinate of the midpoint of this chord will be the x-coordinate of the center of the circle. So we therefore need to get the coordinates of this midpoint here, of this chord. Then for the other chord here, we also need to get the midpoint. So this point is -2. This point is -2, 0, and the other one is 6, 0. So these are the endpoints of this chord. So we get the midpoint. How do we get the midpoint? This is how we get the midpoint, assuming that this is x1, this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. So this is how we get the midpoint. Midpoint is obtained by x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That's how we get it. So the midpoint here will therefore be -2 plus 6 divided by 2. Then y1 plus y2, this is 0 plus 0 divided by 2. And this will give, this will be 4, it will be 2, 0. So therefore, this point here, this will be 2, 0. And this x coordinate, the x coordinate which is 2, this is the same x coordinate with the center of the circle. So already we have obtained, for the center of the circle, we have obtained the x coordinate. Now we need to get the y coordinate. Where do we get the y coordinate? The y coordinate will be obtained by the midpoint. If we get the midpoint of this other chord here, this other chord, look at this chord. If we get the midpoint of this chord, if we get this midpoint, this will be able to give us the y coordinate. So we get the midpoint of this chord. So this point is 0, 6. That point is 0, 6. And the other one here, this is 0, -2. So we get the midpoint. But the formula, getting the midpoint is here, x1 plus, so 0 plus 0 divided by 2, then 6 plus -2 divided by 2. So this one will give 0, this is a 4, this is 2. So again, this point here is 0, 2. So therefore, the y coordinate of the midpoint here of this chord will give us the y coordinate of the center of the circle. So therefore, the center of the circle now, we have 2, 2. So therefore, this will be 2, 2. So having this point here, the midpoint here, we got it as 2, 2, 2, 0. So the x coordinate there was 2. Give us 2 there. Then for this point here, 0, 2. The y coordinate here is the one that we got here. So therefore, the center of this circle will be, so the center will be given by 2, 2. So that is how we get the center, the coordinates of the center of the circle. Now we go to the other question, the radius of the circle in surd form. The radius of the circle in surd form. How do we get the radius? The radius, I will use a line here. I will use a line from the center of the circle to, again, from the center of the circle to this point. So this magnitude from the center of the circle, you can also use any other. You can also use from the center of the circle to this point, but I will pick this point from the center of the circle to this point, 6, this 0, 6. So let me use that center of the circle, which is 2, 2, and this point, which is 0, 6. So that is what I want to use, this point and this point. So once, because you're getting the radius, we want to get the magnitude of this line, or the length of the magnitude. The length or the magnitude will give us the radius. So how do we get the magnitude given 2 points? This is how we get it. So radius will be given by, we get the difference in the y coordinate, which is 6, subtract 2. You square that, and then plus the difference in the x coordinate, 0, subtract 2. You square that, and you get the square root. This is how we get the magnitude of the length of the modulus. So from there, this will be 6, subtract, this will be 4 squared plus, this will be -2 squared, this will be 4, and this will give root of 20. Because you're required to give the answer in surd form, this is the same as 5 times 4. And therefore, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 5, we'll leave it in surd form as root 5. So that is the radius of the circle in surd form. Then finally, the equation of the circle in the form x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus is equals to c. where A, B, and C are constants. So having the center is 2, 2. The general or the standard form of the equation of a circle with the center as AB is given as x minus A squared plus y minus B squared is equals to R squared. This is a standard form of an equation of a circle with R as the radius and AB as the center. Just substitute the center. So x, A is 2, square that, then plus y, again B is 2, square that, and then the radius, we're going to use the radius as root of 20. That is the radius. We just use radius as the root of 20. So root of 20 is the radius, and then we need to square that. So expand this, x squared, x minus 2 squared will give x squared minus 2x plus 4. Then plus, expand y minus 2 squared, you get y squared plus 4y plus 4 is equals to, when you square root 20, you get 20. So we reorganize this equation in order to have this form. So we have x squared plus y squared, then minus 2x plus 4y is equals to, all the constants will be taken to the other side. So you have 20. We can take 4 and 4 to the right hand side, that is 8. So we subtract 20, subtract 8, we get 12. So that is now the equation in the required format, and that is how you're supposed to solve that question.